This is Part 8 of the 12th Conference on National Scenic and Historic Trails in Missoula, Montana.
A school venture. You educate them about the trail. You educate the school kids about that section of the trail that they're at, and then they they start to work on the trail. Then it even extends further from that. They go home, the families, the Ohanas, everybody starts to just automatically volunteer. So you have a whole base through your school system. And then you as the kupuna and the elder, you sit there and you tell them the stories and the mo'olelo and you educate them. And I think that we're discovering that no matter what committee we look at, it always ends up bringing back to education. It's educating and it's creating those barriers. It's all about education. You have to go out and educate. Even amongst our association here, we help educate each other, whether we're on a cultural level or what you do on that end. And what it does is it creates what we call stewardship. And our mission is to create stewardship, to let the people, and we always keep that in mind no matter what community we go into, it's their part of the trail. It's their ownership, and our mission is to allow them to become the stewards of their own segment of the trail. And they take pride in that and ownership. They want to learn more. But that's pretty much our mission. And for us, that's what we're finding out. It really rounds out to education.
Well, I find that, I'm an ex-teacher, and that at my age, I have to try to find someone younger to do this because of, as you get older, you have a lot of health problems, a lot of things come up that prevent you from doing some of these things. So it's really important to get the younger people to do these tasks.
Maybe one or two more.
I just had a quick question. From like a management standpoint, do you guys rely on like Texas, or I'm from Texas, so I say Texas, but do you guys rely on like Parks and Wildlife, or do you more or less rely on like say consulting biologists? Like how do you go about like your management standpoint of things?
For you mean land management?
Like either the land management or like I know like Parks and Wildlife has a lot to do with like say you've got a project coming up, you go to them and say, hey, this is my project, I need your expertise, how do I go about it? So do you rely on like the Parks and Wildlife type people, or do you actually hire like consultant biologists to come in and give their expertise?
We've done both.
Okay.
Most of that kind of expertise we can get through the agencies. But it's the same story I was talking about before. It's not that the agency doesn't have the expertise. The question is, do they have somebody who can dedicate the time to what we need done? And so sometimes we work through the agencies to identify qualified consultants or even retired folks to give us a hand with those things.
I guess the reason I'm asking that is I'm a wildlife and fisheries major, and I've been debating on which way to go, whether I should go try to work for state parks and wildlife, or should I try to get into like consulting agency. So I guess I was just asking that to see, how that would relate. I don't even know if that's a question. I was just kind of trying to see who you guys actually use, or how you manage the part of it.
I will add to what Mike just said that in Region 2, I was just in a meeting with the Director of Recreation there, who is over the management of our trail. And one of the things that he echoed that I heard earlier from the regional forester is that due to funding, they are becoming more and more facilitators of areas of expertise. And so their level of expertise that resides permanently and full-time in their staff compared to the amount of demand for that expertise is becoming more and more balanced in the favor of going outside their organization and bringing partners in. We're helping them with that. I'm not sure if some of the other trail organizations are experiencing the same thing in their organizations.
So we can do maybe one more.
Okay.
how do your board view membership, and what's the biggest source of your funding?
How do they view membership?
Yeah, I haven't heard membership mentioned.
Yeah, PCTA has about 7,500 individual members who, pay dues and get a magazine and all that kind of stuff. Those members who also tend to give small donations are the largest single source of funding for our organization. We think that's healthy. We get foundation funds. About a third of our funding comes from our challenge cost share with the feds. And, in return, we put a considerable amount of funds directly into that agreement. Overall, I'll just leave it at that.
Is that challenge cost share funding staff position?
Yes. Yeah, almost all of our cost for operations staff, people who are primarily going out to do what an agency would do, is borne by the Forest Service.
When a member joins, what is it they're getting?
You mean physically?
No.
Oh.
It might be more than physical.
Oh, what? Yeah.
When you're trying to sell a membership in your organization to somebody, what is that product you're selling them to get them to join?
The Pacific Crest Trail and we sell them the trail, as in the trail experience, the availability of the trail experience. We sell the lands and the biological and cultural resources that are preserved through the fact that they're in proximity to the trail.
Good answer, thank you.
Steve?
Gary, how are we doing time?
Got a couple more minutes.
All right.
Does the membership elect the board? I'm curious how the board is established.
Yes.
Thank you.
In our organization, the board elects the board.
Ah,
Okay, that's according to our bylaws.
thank you.
Back here in the corner.
Hi, Mike and Steve. Michelle Mitchell, U.S. Forest Service. One, I want to thank you through both directly and indirectly. You spoke very passionately and eloquently about your commitment to public service, and it's really touched me, and I've enjoyed this session. But beyond that, I'd like to ask you, because I think we heard Joel Coulter with the Forest Service speaking this morning, there is full recognition on our part that our success is wholly dependent upon your success. And so I'd like to ask you, specific to the board and those components of your organization that are more in the nonprofit world and not as attached to the physical trail resource itself, is there a role for us in helping you to shape yourself such that you're ready for success?
Michelle, let me respond to me first, because we're in the immediate experience of going through a redevelopment of our board. The first step we took, sponsored by one of our existing board members, was to invite key people in different geographical areas to sort of a casual get-together to brainstorm. At one of those meetings, Rick Cables attended to help us, because he is very committed to seeing that our board is rebuilt, because that strengthens a very important partner for him. So he became very involved. Secondly, we invited Mary Beth Gustafson, Deputy Regional Forester, to our board meeting. She attended, and we are considering bringing her into some ex officio position with our board so that she will stay with our board year over year. So we are collaborating heavily with our Forest Service partners in terms of our board development.
and our board.
Wow, you're watching part 8 of the National Trail Conference. Stay tuned for more.